Warning, warning, warning.
You're about to witness a seismic event.
This show and all others is brought to you by It's Pimpin101.net, so please pimp responsibly.
Hey. What's good with it, man? It's King Kelly L for the record, man.
And this is the one and only Composure, and you're now tuned in to It's Pimpin' Radio.
Yeah, dig. It's pimpin'. Yeah.
Man, let's talk about this thing, man, as far as this whole myth of independence thing real quick. I've touched on this in the past, and you know, I've put my views out there in the past on this whole thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and scratch the surface once more for you. This whole thing about this independence, man, and it's really a myth, man. You know, like, you know, really many people in this case, hoes in particular, you know, believe there's such a thing as independence. You feel me? And as they tend to get entrenched in this belief system of this falsehood, or what they want to call independence, it really promotes more and more of the faggotry. And the funny thing about it is, it really is a road to a hoe's demise and unhappiness. And the reason I say that is because they lose sight of the necessities of having a professional that they can actually, you know, reap the benefits of their knowledge, first and foremost. And then you also got the whole, you know, issue of companionship and some other things, because, you know, the bottom line, man, you know, a lot of hoes get really confused into thinking that they can actually morph off into a square existence with a real square, and that's just not really going to, you know, work out all that great. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can live a lie. That's what you'll be doing. You can live a lie and maybe have some success in living a lie. But true happiness, that's not going to happen, because, you know, it's like a fish out of water. You're out of your element. You're not really surrounded and entrenched in an environment that's conducive for your personality. You know, and yeah, that's true. Hoes do want boyfriends nowadays. You know, 84 Cal, he put that on there. You know, why? Oh, well, actually, he's saying, why do they want boyfriends? Well, I can tell you a lot of that, man. You know, it's not just the fact that they want boyfriends. It's really a lot deeper than I have time to go into, but I will touch on. Basically, in a nutshell, you have a few dynamics that takes place. Some of it has to do with what I call hoe neglect, and that's a lot of cats that's calling themselves pimping, that's claiming these P's, that really they're just all about the money. It's just, you know what I'm saying? This thing, it has to be who you are and what you're about. The money, you know, comes into effect. The money has its place, don't get me wrong. But it can't just be about the money. If it was just about the money, then maybe that's the problem right now, because so many people are about the money. You got people who are in this arena that are not being here. How they got their ticket, what back door they slipped through, or who let them up under the gate, I'm not sure. But there's a lot of cats that's up in this thing that really are not being this thing, and their motivation is strictly money. Okay, strictly money. Now, money has its place, don't get me wrong, but there's got to be some principles about this thing. There's got to be some structure within yourself. It's got to be a lot of things within, and really, a real one understands that he has a vested interest in this woman in various levels. So, hoe neglect is not really, that's not the way about it. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, one you just met last night. I'm not talking about the one you just knocked off a week ago. I'm not talking about that, because it takes time for a hoe to really earn the value that you hold. She has to earn it, okay? But at some point in time, you got some hoes that been down with cats for 3 years, man, and still, you know, just don't have nothing. Don't have nothing. They pretty much got the clothes is on their back. And you know, at some point in time, that's just not going to be cool for a lot of people. You know, I mean, this is a game that requires intelligence. So this whole myth about dumb hoes, and I'm not saying that there aren't any, but I'm just saying that's not really what you want. And if you got one, then you need to be actively doing things to smarten her up. You understand me? Raise her IQ, raise her acumen for this life and business in general. So it's a cultivation process. You're not just grooming her from a physical standpoint, you have to be grooming her from all kind of angles to really get her game up. From the way she thinks, from the way she applies certain science that you know, basically bestow upon her, the way that she actively interacts on a day-to-day basis with society in general, her forward thinking as far as being able to think outside the box and think ahead 2 and 3 and 5 years down the line, really trying to get her mind elevated. And it's a lot of that. I mean, like I said, I really don't have time to really get into it, you know, full-fledged, but understand that, you know, you have a vested interest in this, because the smarter she is, the better she becomes, the more cultivated she becomes. All these things, and I can keep going on, the list goes on and on, but all these things basically translates into her being more marketable and her being able to make more money and make smarter decisions, which equals more money as well. So, you know, the money has its place and the money will come as long as you're doing the right things. You got to basically put a broad in a position to win, not in a position to lose. A lot of cats are putting these hoes in positions to lose. You feel me? You got to put them in a position to win. And they got to be willing to execute. And like I said earlier in the show, it comes down to them being willing. That's why, for me, it's got to be a whole decision, man. She really has to want to do this. She really has to have a belief that what she's doing is really worthwhile and is really a better path. You know, because, you know, don't think that every woman that's out here that's hoeing, that they're not capable of going and doing something else. They could do something else. But many of them are intelligent enough and forward thinking enough to understand that, 1, nothing wrong with this, 2, is the right thing to do, and 3, it's a profitable endeavor and it's a smart move. So they're going to take this on and do the right thing. So you have to understand that. But you got a lot of cats that really aren't really grooming, aren't really taking care of them, aren't really, you know, doing the things necessary to put them in a better position to win, and in the process are really neglecting a lot of things in reference to that woman. See, the thing is this: if you're gonna be in this thing, man, it's got to be more than just the money and her body. And that's the thing. See, some cats don't really want to deal with the whole woman. They just want to deal with the aspect of the sex or the aspect of money or both. Or one, you know, very minute things. They don't want to deal with the whole complexity of the woman. And that's the thing. You can't have the whole woman, mind, body, and soul, unless you're willing to deal with all that as well. So because of this neglect, because of you know, these avenues and these things that are missing, these empty spaces, if you will, these voids, they feel like, you know, they looking on the TV, they watching their soap operas, they, you know, watching Facebook and doing their Twitters and all this other stuff that's going on, and they seeing a lot of this social stuff that's happening from Square World, that becomes appealing to them. It's like the picture in the picture frame before you buy the frame. They're going to show you some happy picture, you know, picket fence, dog, 3 kids, you know, and they're going to make that, you know, they're going to market it and make it look like that's the thing, you know, to do or the thing to have. So a lot of times, if she's really not strong and entrenched in this, or really is feeling kind of left out, she's going to maybe desire these things. And that's part of why a lot of them are really on this boyfriend thing. Now, the other part of that is you got these suckers who are going to come in and, you know, claiming all kind of stuff, but really what they doing is a reverse trick move. And by that I mean they coming in and saying, well, look, you know, I'm selling that dope, and, you know, I got money, you ain't really got to do this or do that. Come on and fuck with me. Or I ain't, you know, I'm your boyfriend, and it's just gonna be me and you ain't got to worry about nobody else. You know, selling this whole monogamous idea at them, you know, or giving them some pipe dream, or we gonna be married and all this other stuff. And it's like, you know, if the hoe is really not strong and a horn man, and she might fall for that. You feel me? She might go for that. You know, it's just, you know, there's a possibility that happens. And, you know, in the day and age that we're in right now, you got so much promotion of going to the left that they don't even understand what going to the right is. They don't really have a clue of what they're doing. They're following the blind. It's blind leading the blind. They're following the blind. They're following people on hearsay and conjecture. You feel me? You got to understand that typically the hoes with the most gripe and the most negativity and the most hateful shit as far as their views on the pimping, those hoes have never been with no pimping. That's the crazy thing about it. The ones with the most to say in the negative fashion have never been up under no ism. Never. And the first thing they want to go to is somebody said. They got a sister, a cousin, a girlfriend. Somebody said. So they, you know, staunch, you know, supporters of the bullshit with no real practical experience. They going off of some hearsay. You feel me? And if you backtrack, if you felt like taking the time to backtrack it, the people that they heard it from was not really up under no ism. They was up under some crap that was, you know, faking it, calling themselves something that he wasn't. So they get a bad representation of it. And this thing has a, you know, a snowball effect that, you know, by the time you done came in encounter with this individual, you know, it's all kind of mixed up shit that's in their mind, and they really don't know. And and I'm gonna tell you, the telltale sign of it 9 times out of 10 is the person has no real reason whatsoever to have any type of anger or any type of negativity toward it. It should not. I mean, there's no like conversation, anything, no bad interaction, none of that. But as soon as, you know, it basically gets put out there that, hey, you know, you down with this ism, and they, you know, the light bulb come on about that with them, they hate you. They don't even know you, but they hate you. You could be anywhere. You could be at an outside restaurant having a burger and chilling, and not minding your business, not doing anything, and somebody can come up and be at the motherfucking stand ordering their food, seeing you, peeping you out, liking you, all this old crazy shit. Then one of their buddies come up there, happen to know who you are. Oh, he's pimping. And now this bitch has got all kind of shit to say out the mouth, slick, and, you know, you ain't said shit to her. But here we go with all this bullshit. This hate for no reason. They don't know you. with all right off the cuff, a whole bunch of hate. And typically those individuals have never been down. Ever. But they have been manipulated and brainwashed into believing that you were this, Darth Vader, evil empire type cat. Which is just not the case. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the case. When the reality is, players are usually, more honorable than your average square. In most sense. Now, I'm not going to say in every sense, but in most sense, yeah. And the reality is, a lot more of what we do is up front, as opposed to all this hidden agendas and secrets and all this other shit that squares is running around with. So who's more trustworthy? Who's more honest and has more integrity? Because we stand on principle. If it came down to a player and the police, who you gonna trust?
This is a
It's Pimpin' Radio.
exclusive.